Henry Hudson braved the forbidding Arctic in search of a route to China. Instead, he would unlock one of the great secrets of the North and pay a terrible price. In 1609, the English king, James I, called on Hudson to sail to the Arctic. Hudson was eminently qualified. He had sailed through Russia's northern seas, and he had been to Greenland and the edge of the polar ice. By June 1610, Hudson was steering his ship, the Discovery, along Baffin Island's south shore into a waterway he called the Hudson Strait. As he pressed further into this frigid place, he added other new names to his charts: the Island of Good Fortune, God's Mercies, Hold with Hope, Desire Provoketh. Days turned into weeks. The desolation of the Arctic descended around the crew. Tensions spread as the ice floes threatened to freeze them in until spring. One of the only literate crew members kept a diary, a man named Abacuk Prickett.
We had a storm, and the wind brought the ice so fast upon us that in the end we were driven to put her into the chiefest of the ice, and there to let her lie. It was a labyrinth without end.
Hudson headed south, desperately searching for another outlet to the ocean. His men protested. They wanted to go back the way they came. Hudson would not hear of it. Then he ran the Discovery into a dead end at the bottom of the bay.
Here our master was in despair, for he thought we should never have got out of this ice, but there have perished. To speak of all our troubles would be too tedious.
They were trapped in another realm, stranded in a place they deemed unfit for man. The crewmen blamed their captain for their plight, stuck here through the long, bitter winter with no contact from anyone. Until a man came out of the scrub trees on the shoreline. He was a native trapper, and he had come to trade.
To this savage, our master gave a knife, a looking glass, and buttons, who received them thankfully, and made signs that after he had slept, he would come again, which he did. And when he came, he brought with him a sled, which he drew after him, and upon it 2 deer skins and 2 beaver skins.
This was the first modest transaction on the bay that would bear Hudson's name. In time, one of the world's greatest fur trade empires would be built here. But for the crew of the Discovery, it was just another day closer to death. It was June when the ice broke into a maze of floes and open water, and Hudson still had every intention of finding the Northwest Passage. This was devastating news to the crew. They turned to plans of mutiny.
Wilson the boatswain and Henry Green came to me and told me that they and the rest of their associates would shift the company and turn the master and all the sick men into the shallop and let them shift for themselves. When I heard this, I told them that for their sakes they should not commit so foul a thing in the sight of God and man. Henry Green bade me hold my peace, for he knew the worst, which was to be hanged when he came home. And therefore, of the two, he'd rather be hanged at home than starved abroad. The master came out of his cabin. Wilson bound his arms behind him. We asked them what they meant. They told him he should know when he was in the shallop. Then the shallop was hauled up to the ship's side, and the poor, sick, and lame men were called upon to get them out of their cabins and into the shallop.
Among those put into the boat with Hudson was his son, John. They kept pace with the Discovery for a few days, then fell back, over the horizon and out of sight. No trace of Hudson was ever found, but Hudson's Bay would prove to be the northern gateway into the very heart of the continent.